Hello and welcome to today's lesson on William the Conqueror and the Norman Conquest. Your lesson goals today are to be able to identify the impact the Norman Conquest had on history and culture of England. All you need today are this video and your interactive notebook and its corresponding pages. So today, what you're going to do is watch this video. And as you watch or after you watch, you're going to be answering questions in your notebook. So let's get started, the Norman Conquest. If you're ever on Jeopardy, you might be asked the question, why is 1066 such an important date in English history? So a little bit of background. On Christmas Day in 1066, William the Duke of Normandy was about to be crowned King of England at Westminster Abbey, which is near London in England. But William and his knights were nervous. They had just seized power and were afraid of an uprising. When English crowds outside began to cheer, the Normans misunderstood and panicked. They attacked people. They set fire to nearby houses. In the meantime, inside this great church of Westminster Abbey, which still stands today, the ceremony crowning William the King of England continued. As the crown was placed on William's head, the firelight from the burning houses flickered over the church walls. This is important because we have a new king whose ideas and changes will change England forever. And the way that this coronation played out is a fitting way for a warlord who had gained power by fire and sword. And so, what is the story of William the Conqueror? How did we get to the year 1066 with William coming from Normandy in France being crowned King of England? Well, let's learn a little bit about this. So, who are the Normans? The Normans are actually descendants of Vikings. So we learned a lot about the Vikings. We know that the Vikings come from Northern Europe, which is right about here. William of Normandy comes from a northern area of France, which you can see being pointed at on the smaller map in the left corner of the screen. This northern area of France is named Normandy after the Northmen or Vikings who settled there. The people of Normandy were ruled by dukes, and these are noble people. And these dukes of Normandy were very powerful, and they were very wealthy. They had a goal to expand their lands because the more land that you own, the more powerful and wealthy you become. And so they decide they want to expand from Normandy to England. And so we see England here in green on the map, right above that circled area of Normandy. But why are the Normans so interested in England? Let's think really quickly about England as a country in these times. England was a very organized society. Not only was it organized, it was becoming wealthy because they used a standardized system of coinage, and this created more organization. And when you're more organized, you're more able to prosper. England was a very strong state. Because the English monarchy was growing, they were able to take a lot of the wealth, and that was very, very interesting to the Normans. And these kings of England are called Anglo-Saxons. They come from Germany. And so England, we can see, is very appealing. And who is William the Conqueror? Well, William the Conqueror also descends from Vikings. He descends from Viking raiders known as Northmen. William has an interesting childhood. He was born to an unwed mother and a great Norman feudal lord. because they were unmarried early in William's childhood, he was not recognized. However, later on, he became recognized and grew up to be a Duke of Normandy. And remember, they're very powerful and wealthy people. William's also related to the Anglo-Saxon king, Edward the Confessor. So he's both Viking. He's also related to the English. Now, Edward the Confessor is important in this story because Edward the Confessor is a very weak king. He's weak and he's influenced very, very heavily by a noble family of England. And this noble family is led by a man named Harold Godwin. And so this is going to lead us to conflict. What is the problem here? Well, Edward the Confessor, the weak king, dies in 1066, and hence we have a soap opera. Harold Godwinson here is the Earl of Wessex. He has had so much power over Edward the Confessor that Edward the Confessor says, hey, when I die, Harold G., you're going to get to be the next king of England. But other people also have claims on the throne. One is a man named Harald Hardrada. He's the king of Norway, and remember, Norway is that northern area of Europe where, again, Vikings come from. The other person with a claim on the throne is the star of the show today, and that is William, the Duke of Normandy. And so we're going to see a fight between Harold Godwin, Harald Hardrada, and William, Duke of Normandy. Who will come out on top? So we have war. So what happens? Well, Edward the Confessor dies, leaving the throne to Harold Godwinson. But Harold of Norway and William of Normandy are very, very angry about this. And so Harold of Norway sails towards England. William of Normandy marches towards England. He has to cross a really skinny body of water right here called the English Channel. When William gets there, he's held back. And so the Norwegians are the first to attack. So the Norwegian king, Harald Hardrada, sails towards northern England. He attacks, and there's a big battle at a town called York. Harold's army rushes. There's a big fight called the Battle of Stamford Bridge, and Harald Hardrada of Norway is defeated. Harold Godwinson of England wins. So it was a really rough battle. Both sides lost a lot of men. Both sides are exhausted. But that's just one war Harold of England has to fight. Remember, William of Normandy also has a claim on the throne. So what's going to happen? Well, William, Duke of Normandy, arrived ready to sail across this channel. He was really interested in getting to England and fighting, but he was held back, and we'll take a look at why that is in a minute. After the War of Stamford Bridge, in which the Norwegians are defeated, Harold of England's men are exhausted. That's when William's army invades. So Harold's exhausted army marches south, and we have a really big battle. And this is another Jeopardy question. What is the battle where William of Normandy becomes William the Conqueror? And that is the Battle of Hastings. It takes place on October 14th, 1066. Harold Godwin has exhausted troops. His troops, who are left, are fighting on foot with swords and spears. Meanwhile, the Normans are fighting on horseback with archers. This gives the Normans a great advantage. They have better weapons, and they have fresh men who haven't just fought a big battle. In this Battle of Hastings, Harold Godwin is shot through the eye with an arrow. He's killed. Not only is Harold killed, who has a claim to the English throne, because remember, Edward the Confessor said, Harold, you get to be my successor. Harold is killed. Not only that, his brothers are all killed, and so no one in his family then has a claim to the throne. This leaves William, Duke of Normandy, as the last man standing. He has conquered all of England. And so on October 14th, 1066, William becomes William the Conqueror. But weather has an important place in this battle. And what does weather have to do with this battle? Well, William was interested in sailing to England. He actually wanted to sail to England in August, but he was held back for 2 months. And it's because of weather. So if you take a look here at this Norman ship, you can see it has this square sail. This square sail means that only special winds will allow you to set sail. Your winds have to be propelling you forward. Because William faced unfavorable winds, he had to wait 2 whole months to cross that English Channel from France into England. As a result, he arrived after Harold Godwin had fought the battle against the Norwegians. His army was tired. It was exhausted. And so they were easily defeated by this great Norman army. So what did weather have to do with it? If William had set sail in August, there may have been a different outcome to the battle. While the Normans had better battle tactics, better weapons, they would have been facing a fresh English army. And so weather has a great role in the Battle of Hastings. So we know William the Conqueror has conquered all of England. On Christmas Day, we learned that he was crowned King of England in 1066. Not only does he conquer England, but he changes the life of the English forever. The first thing that happens is that the Battle of Hastings had wiped out many of the great Anglo-Saxon noble families. Before the Battle of Hastings, there were about 5,000 local landowners. William took all the land from those landowners and gave it from 5,000 people to about 180 Norman barons or noblemen. His family got the largest shares of land. So we have a concentrated bit of wealth and power in the hands of just a few French-speaking elite nobles. Another thing that happened is that William brought a strong feudal system. While England had divisions and class systems, William brings the feudal system formally into England. So what is the feudal system? Remember, vassals of the kings or the barons, noblemen, had to support him with military service and supply William with soldiers. And so now we have a new ruling class in England. Everyone in power in both the church and in government are actually of Norman birth and not English birth. What are some other changes? Well, some more changes is that all over England we see building projects. The Normans build these enormous fortresses made of stone. And we talked earlier about castles evolving from wood to stone. In England, these stone fortresses arrive with William the Conqueror. These stone fortresses built all over England still stand today. And so on the left here, we have a really famous fortress called the Tower of London, which is built by William the Conqueror. So another change is that we have large stone fortresses appearing, and these are the first stone fortresses to be built since the Romans had left about 600 years earlier. Another thing is that English language is going to emerge. So this is sort of a cycle. When William the Conqueror arrives, he makes Latin and French the language of law, culture, and government. Over time, Anglo-Saxons who had been in England had maintained their customs and language. So in the span of about 300 years, we have a blend of this Latin and French and Anglo-Saxon blending together to create our modern English language. And one last thing we're going to take a look at is an important bit of history called the Bayou Tapestry. This is another Jeopardy question, people. So what is the Bayou Tapestry? It's a really big piece of fabric. It's 224 feet long. Think of a football field. It's really long, and it's embroidered with 10 colors. And it tells the story of the Norman Conquest, of the Battle of Hastings. It tells almost the whole story, but misses the section where William is crowned. And so it becomes one of the most famous and recognizable historical documents in the whole world. And it focuses, as I said, on the showdown between William II, or William of Normandy, and Harold Godwinson, or Harold II. The tapestry contains considerable amounts of information, not only about political events surrounding the conquest, but also other aspects of military, social, and cultural history. We know a lot about history because of this tapestry. Some of it's written down, but historians have studied this tapestry to learn about this battle. And so the story that's embroidered in this 224 feet of fabric teaches us a lot about what happened. And so this is the story of William the Conqueror and how he changes England forever. Your next step is to go to your digital notebook and answer the questions about William. Let your teacher know if you have any questions. Thanks for listening.